So it's come to my attention that apparently Anakin needs another nerf. You know, after 7 nerfs, I'd have thought that we'd be over this trend by now, but I guess not. At this point, I'm honestly a little annoyed at this. It's not enough that we basically made Anakin a slightly less viable alternative to Luke. I get that Anakin is annoying, but so are a lot of the other heroes in the game. Iden, Phasma, Han, Lando, Dooku, and Chewbacca all come to mind immediately, especially as someone who swears by saber heroes. They're all annoying in their unique little way and chip away at your health like me with nacho cheese Doritos or crack donuts. This may sound extremely controversial and you can call me out in the comments as much as you want, but I don't think Anakin needs another nerf. If anything, his retribution ability needs a few fixes, his heroic might damage reduction should last until the ability is completely over, and his passionate strike needs the slightest buff or a complete rework. If anything, his retribution ability needs a few tweaks, his heroic might damage reduction should last until the ability is completely over, and his passionate strike needs the slightest buff or a complete rework. I'm not here to change your mind over this topic, you can believe whatever you want to believe. This video is intended to voice my concern about Anakin and where he's gonna end up when DICE eventually stops supporting Battlefront 2. And that day is pretty much upon us. For anyone not familiar with Battlefront 2, it's not too terribly hard to do well with heroes if you play your cards right, know most of the abilities, some basic strategy, and how most of the heroes work. Especially saber heroes who appear at the top of everyone's tier list, myself included. Let me also preface that I'm a little biased here because Anakin is by far my favorite character, but the way that some people are treating him in the game is just straight up bullying to this great addition to Battlefront. I'll be the first to admit, those first few nerfs along with the Retribution Choke Time nerf, completely necessary. Looking back at old footage when Anakin first dropped is like, oh my god, this is a little too much. The rebalance of his star cards in the most recent patch, also pretty necessary, but it could have been done a little better. Anyway, those nerfs were much needed. Then why am I bothering with this video if the previous nerfs were completely necessary? Because he's pretty well balanced right now and I don't think there's much more you can do with him. This is why I'm nervous about another nerf because I keep seeing comments. I'm nervous about another nerf because I keep seeing people complain that Anakin is still too powerful. And if enough people rise up and keep talking about Anakin, there's gonna be another nerf. This needs to stop. Over the past few days, I've looked through Battlefront, done my own research, and even reached out to a few communities that I know play Battlefront quite a bit. I asked all of them what they thought of Anakin's passionate strike ability, and here's what I found. A lot of people even forget that he has that ability. I don't even use it that much and I play Anakin a lot. I've done countless hours of research into this and I'm certain Anakin's no longer a threat and much less top tier of the list. Comparing Anakin to some of the more deadly heroes like Dooku, Vader, Iden, and even Luke is like comparing a .44 Magnum to a dinky airsoft pistol. You don't want to get hit by it, but there's scarier things out there. It'll hurt for maybe a second, but at least you don't get rendered useless. There are plenty of powerful heroes in the game, and I keep seeing Anakin, like I mentioned previously, popping up in the number 2 or even number 1 spot of everyone's hero ranking videos. Most of these videos are old news by now, but I've seen a few after the BB update that keep putting him here, with which I'd wholly disagree. I'd personally put him around spot 5 or 6 at this point. Luke, Vader, Palpatine, Rey, and even Dooku are above Anakin in terms of heroes versus villains, and the heroes versus villains aspect is primarily where my focus is. I can't speak for the bigger game modes, but because of the damage reduction heroic might problem I mentioned previously, it's not that hard to kill Anakin now. Anakin is only really a threat if he is around other players. If you so much as bring Dooku or Boskin, dodge around his attacks and get behind him, which if you've been playing for at least a little bit of time isn't that hard to do, he's not that scary. Most people that play Anakin use all of his abilities one after the other. When that happens as a saber villain, he's not that hard to kill. If you don't get hit by either pull dominance or heroic might, you're guaranteed a kill if you're a saber villain. But hey, maybe I'm wrong about this, I'm sure I'll get corrected in the comments. But again, my main concern lies in heroes versus villains. Anakin is an easy target if you're Kylo, Vader, Palpatine, or even Iden or Phasma. Most of his abilities, mainly Passionate Strike and Pull Dominance, can be interrupted by any stun ability, Vader and Maul's Choke, Kylo's Pull, so on and so forth. And going a little off topic, I think the same problem lies with Maul's Chokehold ability. For the most part, Anakin's playstyle is high risk, medium reward. It seems more trouble than it's worth to play as Anakin in these hero modes. Because of the reputation he used to have, everyone's gonna target Anakin. You'll do much better as the hero that actually needs the nerf, Luke. I dare say his ability loop is even more annoying than Anakin's, and Luke is so fast I'm sure that the new meta for him in 1v1s is... Just repulse, dash, swing spam, another dash, and you're pretty much guaranteed a kill unless you have a really experienced hero you're fighting. If it came down to Vader or Anakin, my money is on Vader. Now that Vader can block and choke at the same time and has a damage reduction, this makes him an absolute nightmare to fight. Coupled with Palpatine, there aren't many heroes that can stand against that. It's happened to me more times than I can count, where your hero squad can fall super easily to just these two working together even a little bit. If anything needs to happen, I think a few light side heroes could use the slightest buff. For example, we could upgrade Obi-Wan's Restrictive Mind Trick, tweak Anakin's Passionate Strike just a little, and maybe change up a few of Lando's abilities. Because Vader's so powerful, he doesn't need that damage reduction on choke anymore, and instead we could give it to Maul during his chokehold ability. And I'm sure there are other heroes that could use some tweaking too. Boba Fett's a nightmare most of the time, but there isn't much I can think of to do with him without completely demolishing him, and I know there are lots of players that swear by the Sword of Mandalorian. Bossk is pretty scary, but I'm not sure what to do with him either. Luke could probably use a health card instead of that blocking star card. That's kinda useless. Maybe nerf his Intensify star card too, and even his stamina and maybe a little bit of his swing speed. Leia's star card for damage reduction is pretty useless. Maybe we could buff that a little bit. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have all the answers. In short, there's a lot of rebalancing that needs to be done, but another Anakin nerf is not the way to do it. Where some see Anakin just being too powerful, I see other heroes not getting the attention that they need. I want to recommend this game to as many people as possible, but it's really hard to do that when there is so much broken about this game. The sad part is that a lot of it is directed at both Anakin and Vader, one of which isn't even the biggest problem with this game. All of Anakin's force abilities can be blocked anyway, so it's not that hard to see them coming if you're paying attention. I think the only real reason he is a menace to begin with at this stage is because the lightsaber targeting system is practically broken and everyone abuses it, myself included. It needs some serious fixing. In a game full of lightsaber heroes, they needed to get this one thing right, and it's still broken. Unfortunately, that's a topic for another day. So what do you think? Is another Anakin nerf really that necessary? Do you think other heroes are not as strong as they should be? Personally, I think Obi-Wan could do with a buff, and Luke needs a nerf. Maybe we can buff Maul just a little bit and nerf Vader into the ground. Okay, maybe not that far with Vader, but at least get rid of his damage reduction on choke. I'm certain he doesn't need it. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this whole scenario we're in. And hey, while you're down there, what did you think of this video? I thought I would branch out a bit more and try something new. I used to make rant videos from my high school broadcasting class, and I thought I'd give them another shot. If you enjoyed this, liking the video would be super cool of you, and if you didn't like it, that's fine too. I'm an equal opportunity crime fighter. Subscribing and turning on the bell is the best way to stay up to date with me too. While you're looking down there at the subscribe button, my personal tip jar is down there too if you want to support me on Patreon. Anyway, that'll be it for me today. Have a lovely day, stay inside, and remember to drink plenty of water.